make sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying, there's money to make. I'll do what I gotta, whatever it takes. Cause I'm pushing myself to be one of the great. And my time is right now.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, first and foremost, if you're new here, I appreciate you for tuning in and joining on the weekly episode. And if you've been here for a while, I just gotta say I appreciate you. I appreciate the absolute fuck out of you for showing up every week. I appreciate the absolute fuck out of you for your support. And I appreciate the absolute fuck out of you for you being the best version of yourself. And the reason why I'm saying this is because today's episode is entirely on forgiveness and letting go. And it's crazy because the biggest thing about this podcast, and I'm going to be completely transparent, is that it's so passion filled. It's so fulfilling for me to get on here and just talk about mental health, mindset. A lot of people want me to talk about nutrition and working out and things like that. And I'm really struggling with that side of my life because it's not very fulfilling to talk about nutrition and exercise and things like that. But forgiveness and letting go, the biggest reason why I want to talk about this is because we gotta be aware of how heavy these burdens are on us. When we're like carrying things meaning, not forgiving people, holding these grudges, holding these burdens, holding these like animosity given ideas or these fucking things that have happened to us in the past, like we have to really forgive and let go of anything that happens to us. And the reason why I'm talking about it today is because I feel like a lot of people look at forgiveness and letting go as like, for the other person. It's like, well, I don't want to forgive that person because they did X, or, I don't want to let go of this because they need to I need to get them back. Or whatever has been done upon you, you want something of that same magnitude to be done upon them, right? And that's the issue with this whole situation, is that forgiveness and letting go has that misidea of it, right? You think the forgiveness is forgiving the other person for what they have done, and then you think it's letting go for them to not let them be burdened with it. But really, forgiveness and letting go is entirely about the internal idea of what this is, right? Like, I'm not forgiving you for what you have done to me. I'm sorry that you've done what you have done to me because you've lost a great person in your life. But forgiveness is for me to let that go, so I don't got to carry that weight with me anymore. When I see you around town, or I see you on Instagram, or see you in person, I don't got to feel that anymore. That's why we're talking about forgiveness and we're talking about letting go, because it's not about the person that has done wrong to us. It's not about the person that has decided to do whatever the fuck they have done. And I'll use a lot of examples in my life, right? Like growing up with the family that I have. Like I had to forgive and let go, and it's taken me years to forgive my family, my mom, my dad. I, to be honest, don't think I've 110% forgave a lot of people in my life, right? But it's not so much the forgiveness that I want to talk about that's tying into for us internally. It's the letting go portion of it. Forgiveness, I feel like, is always going to be something that we're going to struggle with as humans if we truly do care or love the person that has hurt us. And I think that's the thing that makes it hard about forgiving and letting go, is because a little bit of disbelief in there, like, did this person really do this to this magnitude? Did this person really do this to this extreme? Do I really feel these deep-rooted emotional responses to this situation, right? And I think that's a little bit of what makes forgiveness and letting go hard for situations, is because, you got to accept the situation for what it is. Like, do I want to accept that I was in and out of foster care, and then, in and out of foster care for a few reasons, in terms of racism, in terms of being abused, in terms of being like all these different things? It's like, do I want to believe that? Not necessarily. It fucking kills me to admit those types of things. Do I want to admit that I didn't grow up with my brothers the way I did? No, I don't. Do I want to admit that I was in a car accident that like pretty much took my life and still changes my life every day based on the organic PTSD traumatic things I'm left with it? No, I'm not. But I have to forgive these situations in order for me to let them go. And it's like my grandparents, my mom, my dad, all these people, like I had to forgive them within a certain degree to let that go, so I didn't carry this burden with me every day. And that's the main thing why I want to talk about forgiveness and letting go, is because as much as we convince ourselves that something doesn't bother us, or something that doesn't persuade our situation, or influence our mindset, or influence the decisions we do on a daily basis, when it does, and it's one of those things where it's like, you can only address an elephant in the room when you're willing to embrace it, which is why I started off talking about believing the trauma that has happened, right? Whether it's a bad ex, or whether it's a bad, like a physical trauma, like whatever it is, like an injury, whatever it is, the biggest thing is accepting the magnitude of that situation for what it is, and then understanding that you need to get into a position to forgive whatever said situation is, to let it go, because forgiveness is a two-step process. It's forgiving it to allow yourself to be able to heal from it, but then you also got to learn on letting go of it on the other end of it to make sure you don't burden yourself with it. And that's the biggest thing I want you to get out of me just ranting and rambling on and going off about forgiveness and letting go, is because for the longest time, the last 10 years of my life, I thought I forgave everyone in my life, right? Until our last 6 to 8 months, where I feel like I've had 3 or 4 friend groups kind of like screw me over in terms of like, you know, not being mutually beneficial or receptive with energy being put out, right? It was a very give-take relationship. It was a take relationship versus like, you know, 50-50. I had 3 or 4 people that I had to, you know, really excel or expel out of my life because of this. And it really hurt because it kind of brought up some old emotions, right? Because when I'm friends with somebody, or when you're on my team, or I take care of you, like it's tenfold, it's everything. There's none of this fucking half in, half out baggage friendship with me. Like when me and you are fucking close or tight, I give you 110% of who I am as a person. And I expect nothing but that back. I don't expect you to be anyone you're not other than who you are, but 110% of who you are. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to relationships, friendships, or acquaintances or anything like that. It's like, it's very 50-50. I'll carry 50 of the bricks if you carry 50 because we got 100. If I carry 51, or if I can't make you carry 51, then we have to have a conversation about that. And 99% of the people out there today want you to carry 99 of their bricks, and they look at you like you're crazy, right? And I think that's the biggest misconception when it came to friend groups that I've learned recently that have triggered these responses out of me about forgiveness and letting go. And it's a letting go part of it that really like stuck out to me, right? Like I forgave a lot of people, I feel good, but then the letting go portion of it is the part that I'm having trouble with in terms of that's where I know it's influencing my current day-to-day decisions. That's when I know there's certain avenues of the forgiveness and letting go that I'm carrying on that is influencing my mindset. It is molding the way that I do my day-to-day, right? But when I had these friendships kind of like, you know, be put to the left side and have all these things come up, all of the emotional states that I had with it was outstanding to see that I was still carrying a lot of baggage from like my family's traumas, from the car accidents trauma, from past relationships traumas, just from these different avenues of my life that ultimately did not serve who I was today or who I'm going to be tomorrow. And that's why I want to highlight, That's why I want to highlight the letting go portion of this aspect, because the letting go portion of it is the most important avenue of forgiveness. Because like I said, the first part is, you know, you got to believe the trauma, and you got to believe the magnitude of the situation, because you can't forgive somebody if you truly don't really acknowledge how they have hurt you, you know. And it's prime example. Like I grew up in and out of foster care due to several different reasons. We still don't really know what the exact reason was because everyone wants to point fingers. So I have to accept that I'm never really going to know 110% concrete what had happened for me to be part of this process, right? However, I need to know to some degree to add forgiveness into my trait. So I believe the situation for what it is, then I forgave everyone for what it was. But now I'm in the part of my life where I got to let that go. You know what I mean? Same thing with you. It's like I'm still carrying this around. It's still influencing my life. I'm still identifying by certain avenues of this part of my life that I've been through. And it's the letting go of it that is the most important part of it, because that's the second part of the healing. That's the true almost euphoria of the healing, when you give yourself those good graces of that access to your mindset, the access to your emotional state, that access to your free flow thinking of your mindset, right? All of the influence is going to be on you going towards your goals, your life, your aspirations, your relationships. Everything is going to be truly, truly, truly related and resonated with who you want to become, because you've been blessed with accessing that part of your mind to allow yourself to let it go, on top of just simply forgiving what has happened. Another big reason why I'm ranting on about this is because I really do believe that like the mental health mindset healing journey isn't a point A to point B situation. And I believe that a lot of people, like when you start your healing journey, when you start your healing process, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, whatever healing journey you start, it always comes off at the very beginning like, okay, point A, point B, we're going to bridge these gaps, we're going to get after it. And when it comes to mental health, primarily your emotional states and everything internal, it's really, really so far from the case of it being a point A to point B. And that's why I think people got to highlight like falling in love with the journey, because it truly is a journey. And like even us breaking down forgiveness and letting go, it's one of those situations where it's like, it's a 2, 3, 4 step process, right? Like on the outside of it, it's like point A, point B. You did X to me, I forgive you, it's all forsaken, let's go. We're good to go, let's continue our lives. But really there's so many intrinsic layers to that, to our mental health, our emotional state, our influences, our deep-rooted way that our subconscious programming, so many different things, right? And I think the biggest thing for me with leading by example in terms of my business, who I am as a person, mental health, my physical, and just being willing to be on the chopping block, if you will, and just like, you don't want to know what, everyone tell me what they need from me, because I'm willing to help you with what you need, what you're struggling with, right? And I think for me being willing to go through my emotions in such regard, it showed me the light of how in-depth and exhausting your mental health battle and journey can be, right? And I think that's why, like, when it came to forgiveness and letting go, I felt compelled to have like a quick podcast episode about it, because for me, like, I carry everything, right? And it's like I didn't really realize the distinct to it, or the severity of it, I should say, until it was one of those situations where like I was forced to let go of old ideologies, old influences, old foundations of my programming in my mind. And I was confronted, right? That's what I'm saying. When these friend groups did what they did, I was confronted with these emotions, and I was like, oh shit, like maybe I'm not as healed in certain avenues of what I thought I was. Whereas like, I thought it was a point A, point B. Learn forgiveness. Now I understand, the ideology of it. I don't understand how to open my mind to forgiving somebody, but I never opened up my mind to believing the severity of that situation to truly let it go from truly forgive and let go from that standpoint, right? And that's why I want to break it down and just talk about that letting go, because the biggest thing I want you to get out of anything that I ever say on any podcast episode is that you deserve more out of your life. And you have to give yourself that definition, right? Like I can't tell you what you want. I can't tell Emma what she wants. No one can tell me what I want. It all comes from me, my vision, my mind, what I feel, right? And I think that's the important part about understanding about letting go on top of forgiving whatever the situation is because once you forgive, that's okay, and I really hope when you do forgive, you do not forget, because you don't want to have that happen to you again. But the letting go portion of it, I want you to look at it in this sense, and this is how we're going to wrap this episode up. Is I want you to look at the letting go portion of your forgiveness and letting go to whatever situation is that's your way of selling that land. Like that land had X, Y, and Z, traumatic experience, traumatic situation happen onto it. Forgiveness is like being on that land, forgiving what has happened on that land, but then walking off that land. And letting go is selling that land and getting new real estate for your mindset because you deserve it. And I think that's the second piece of the forgiveness and letting go that a lot of people don't really relate to, is because they don't really get into the avenue of letting go portion, right? They get into the avenue of going on that real estate, going on that land and forgiving people. And then they let those people still stay on their land, still live in their life, but they don't have that portion of letting go. And the reason why I'm saying I hope that like what you get out of this is just like, you deserve better, is because when you let go of these things, that's when the newer avenues of your life that are going to come. That's when the abundance comes. That's when the success comes. That's when your goals are crushed. That's when you win. That's when you break heights in your life that you never knew was imaginable, because you've sold off the land and you're willing to go empty. Let's say you're willing to go without this real estate of this land in your mind for another opportunity to come up to fit that mold. And then all of a sudden you have a way more land that's the fruit bearing on this land is 10 times better, right? You have a richer soil, you have richer connections, and now you don't have to worry about any of this traumatic experiences going on, right? And that's why they always say that the biggest thing about forgiveness is letting go. And I just feel like my reflections lately on my life, just being where I'm at in my life, 28 years old. My birthday's literally this Thursday, and everyone's like, I always get all emotional and fucked up around my birthday because I don't really like to celebrate. Not that I don't like to celebrate it, to me it's just another day, but it's just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's one of those situations. Maybe it's a trauma thing growing up. I don't really know how to handle everyone's praise and stuff. But the biggest thing is like, doing a lot of reflecting lately in regards of like what fulfills me, what truly makes me happy. And the biggest thing learning about like, fulfillment tying into friend groups and things is realizing like, when certain friend groups did what they did, I did have an emotional response to it that I tried to bury because I assumed that I was healed in a certain regard, right? And it wasn't true. So I had to open up those layers on my mind, back up to myself, be honest with myself, understand that I have forgave certain situations and things, but I did not let them go. And if I did not let them go, it was like holding grudges. I became petty, animosity, like negative, that's low frequency thinking, right? That's not an abundant mindset. That's not going to serve me at all. That's going to hold something in my life for something, like hold real estate that I don't need to be living on, right? So once I had that revelation, I felt compelled to just get on here and go on a quick little rant about it, because I think it's one of those situations that I'm telling you, like when you let go, when you truly let go and you allow yourself to have the internal bliss that you deserve, that's the biggest thing I want you to get out of any podcast episode is that you do deserve whatever it is you're fucking seeking, straight up. And for me to be here where I'm at, 28 years old, I was talking to Emma the other day, again, going on reflecting, is my biggest dream was like, just wanted to be financially free in terms of like working for myself, being able to afford my bills and just live my life 110% around the clock of what I wanted. And I'm doing that every day, and I'm still doing myself a disservice, a dishonor by carrying these burdens, by not simply letting go, even though I already forgave. So that's it. That's all I got. I don't really have a main takeaway. I don't really have a way I'm going to close this up. I just really wanted to come in here, speak from the heart, talk about forgiveness and talk about letting go, talk about the severity of, like forgiveness is the half of the journey. letting go is the next step, and that you do deserve to have that mental freedom to yourself, that mental real estate back to yourself. And if there's anything that you got from this podcast episode, it is that I hope you know that you do deserve the most abundant, most blissful, most peaceful, most full of love life that you seek out there, and that it's only around the corner. It's just simply between you today and you putting the work to show up for yourself tomorrow. Other than that, I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Hope you guys have the blessed motherfucking week, and let's fucking go.
Who's on my side, I don't know anymore. Cause it's more than a battle, we going to war. And losing again, I just cannot afford. I think it's my time to go even the score. What you see on the surface attached to my core. I'm stacking my paper, but feeling for more. One hell of a ride, but I'm staying on board. And now it makes sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying, there's money to make. I'll do it.